Ricardo, I've got a message from Tim in Glasgow. He makes the point that we've got pledges from countries around the world that are not nearly enough to stop runaway climate change. And he asks the question, is it time for China and India to be making pledges? Because as less developed countries, they are increasingly contributing to the issue of climate change by their emissions.
I think we all, including India and China, have to act responsibly. Even in my country, El Salvador, I believe we should try to consume and emit as little as possible. I mean, the problem is that sometimes when that is said, is not acknowledging this historical responsibility. You know what I mean? Climate change is a problem generated, as we know, by emissions of carbon dioxide and other gases, and that means it's generated by the wealthy people of the planet. You know, if you don't have wealth, you cannot consume. If you cannot consume, you cannot emit. Now, wealthy people in the planet are mostly the United States, Europe, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and the upper classes in our countries. And now also people, more and more people in China, India, Brazil, South Africa, and others, So I believe historically the industrialized world should say, we assume responsibility and we contribute and we are going to take the lead and we are going to reduce the emissions, and China should follow that.
Well, China now has more cars per household in Beijing than London, Manchester, Glasgow or Edinburgh.
Yeah.
They have more. So we're beginning to see a repeat perhaps of the pattern
Certainly.
of the first world. But of course the first world has a moral responsibility.
Exactly.
Because the first world has benefited and built their economies on emissions. We've got to perhaps help China and India find a different model.
Exactly. But you see, that is when there is awareness and responsibility to say, okay, I'm going to act in a responsible way and I'll help you not to make the same mistakes I did.
Yeah.
But if I don't want to act in a responsible way, the United States representative, I heard him in Copenhagen saying, I don't acknowledge the historical responsibility. That's like saying I don't acknowledge the law of gravity. I mean, the law is there, whether I acknowledge it or not. Historical responsibility is there. I mean, the countries in the United States, Europe, Australia, etc., they should say, we have to reduce our own consumption and emission. We have to go renewables as soon as possible. We have to contribute to give funds to people that are suffering the consequences. In my country, for example, every year crops get destroyed because of too much water, because too little water, all the time. I mean, those people need help to survive, And I certainly do believe that even us, not to say, of course, India and China, but even us, we have a responsibility to act, and I think all of us should do it.
So you say that if the first world doesn't take action, they have no credibility in persuading India and China to take action.
Certainly. I mean, the first world should have, it has the moral responsibility to act, and it's not credible demanding other people to act and not taking the lead.
So you're saying somebody has to move first?
Exactly. The first world should move first and quick, because we are talking about the destruction of our humanity. It's not just destroying a house or something or an institution. We're talking about bringing environmental conditions very hard on the survival of humanity. That's why I do believe that the industrial world must take the lead. And also, you see, there is another thing about China we should not forget. It's true that China is now the first emitter. They have 5 times as many people as the United States. I mean, when it comes to per capita emissions, I mean, the United States is certainly much more, and many other countries. Canada is much more, Australia also. I mean, those countries, I believe, first should go now, not discussing anymore, going now, and then, of course, the other countries should follow.
Well, perhaps China are saying to us here, of course, that they are developing renewable industries, taking the kind of action that's required, but we'll need to wait and see for another time.
Okay.